Hello. Let's see here. I see a few people showing up. Sorry for being a little bit behind here. How's everyone doing this morning? I'm gonna let's see, or afternoon it is. Sorry, I'm learning all of this. This is our first webinar we've done of more to come. Um, let's see here. I've got the chat open. So if anyone wants to put anything in there, any questions that come up as we do this webinar, I will be having my eyes on that, and I can answer any questions. Well, there will be time at the end of this webinar to go over all of the questions. And there's a lot to cover and a lot of details. And so I'm sure there will be some questions. So I'll be around for that. And I can stay longer or short, we'll go with how this develops. I'm gonna wait for a few more minutes here and then we will get things rolling. I actually have a little quiz that I'm gonna launch here, which is a question about interest. So we're going to talk about a couple different bikes today, and so this will be cool to see what you folks are most interested in learning about. So I think I'm going to get things rolling in a couple minutes. So 12:05 is when we're going to get things off and started. You may notice that I'm in the Marin store today, and I'm actually holding this webinar while seated on the bike here. I have a friend, our manager here in Marin, Jason. He's helping me, and he has a secondary camera that I'm going to try to switch over to from time to time so you can see what we're looking at. There we go. Okay, so this is where I'm holding the webinar this afternoon here. Seated in the Kettwiesel One, and I've got the Pino next to me here. So I'm going to move over and sit on that when we start talking about the Pino. But I think we've got our participants, and it's 12:05, so I'm going to get rolling here. Thanks, Jason. Let's switch back. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Today we are here to talk about Hase Bikes, brand new brand that we are bringing here to the New Wheel and the Bay Area. And I've got a little agenda to go over here. So we're gonna first just briefly, you probably all know us here at the New Wheel, but we're gonna briefly talk about what we do here at the New Wheel, and then we're gonna go a little bit into Hase Bikes and the history of Hase. Then we're going to talk about the models with like a brief overview. And then we're going to go in depth on the Kettwiesel One trike. And then we're going to go in depth on the Pino tandem. And then we're going to talk about configuration options. And then we'll have plenty of time for your questions. So without further ado, let's get rolling. So the New Wheel, we are an electric bike specialist here in the San Francisco Bay Area. We have 4 locations, 3 retail locations and a service center. We're an experiential retailer here to inspire and support people to ride e-bikes. We do that with great quality product, professional and comprehensive e-bike services, which is super, super key. And that's how we pick our brands. And it all leads to a dedication to long-term customer success. So that's what we're about here at the New Wheel. And now we have a new brand, and we don't bring on new brands very, very often and very easily. It takes some time. We want to know the brand. We want to make sure that they really fit in well with the shop, that they have service and support, and that the products are really, truly innovative. And Hase checks all of those boxes. This is a real high-level, brief overview of the history of Hase. It all started back in 1989. Marek Hase, the founder of the company, he was a student and he designed his first tandem trike, which you can see here, and entered into a contest in Germany. And that developed over time. And in the early 90s when he formally started Hase Bikes. And from the very beginning, Hase was about adaptive cycling, so cycling for folks with a disability, and trikes and tandems. In 2001, Hase made a big move to Waltrop, which is it's kind of near the Dutch border in Germany. It's a former coal mining area, and they moved to a coal mine facility, which is a pretty beautiful building here, where they have all their production. They're still there, and they now have their showroom in the main building here, but production is there as well. That was in 2001, and then in 2024 was the 30-year anniversary of Hase Bikes, and the leadership is husband and wife team, Marek and Kirsten Hase, and they are in many countries, mostly in Europe, but also in the US. And they have a very broad, diverse number of models that are all in interesting bikes. And so our history with Hase was that our videographer, Mark Core, he actually introduced us to the brand probably 3 or 4 years ago. No, it's longer than that. Maybe it's 8 years ago. His daughter has a disability, which makes it so she can't ride a bike on her own. And so his family bought the Pino tandem, and she was able to ride in the front. And we retrofitted that bike with a bionic system, which was an older motor system that we used to retrofit bikes. And for years, he was telling us, "Hey, you gotta talk to them. They're such a cool brand." And we agreed, very, very cool. But it wasn't. They either didn't have a motor system on their bikes, or it didn't seem like the distribution was quite right. Finally, last year at Eurobike, Karin and I met with Hase and with the US distributors, and we test rode a bunch of their new bikes. We test rode the Pino, we test rode the Kettwiesel One, which just came out, this trike that I'm sitting on right now. And the model line had come so far, and it was so dialed in with Shimano motors and all of this, that it seemed like the right time. And so that is how we came to develop this partnership with Hase. And so Hase makes a number of different models, but the heart of the model lineup is these 2 models. And these are the 2 that we are bringing here to the San Francisco Bay Area. There's the Kettwiesel One. It's a very German name, I know. but it's you can call it the K1 if you'd like. It is their premium trike. You can see it in the two different configurations, and we'll go over that in a few minutes. And then there is the Pino, which is a truly unique tandem, a recumbent tandem, unlike anything else. And so we'll go over that. So to start, we're going to go into the details on the Kettwiesel One. So the Kettwiesel One is 30 years in the making. So the first bikes that Hase developed was the Kettwiesel, something like it, like the previous generation, and they've been iterating this for years and years and years. And in 2024, they released this new model, there's a few key things about Hase's trike development. So the number one thing is all of their trikes are what are called delta design. And delta is for the Greek letter. It's two wheels in the back and one in the front. And the reason that they choose that delta design is, number one thing is better weight distribution. So by having the rider sitting back and low and up over the two back wheels, you get great weight distribution. The second thing is superb turning. So you can turn this bike on a dime. It's so quick handling. In tight spaces, you can make really tight turns. And then the other thing is that it's easier to get on and off. So you can generally have the speed up a lot higher than other trike designs. So getting on and off the bike is super easy. And I'll show you this in a minute too, which is that you're able to adjust the seat to be in an upper position and a lower position to make it even easier if you need to be. It may have issues getting on and off the bike. The other bonus is you have the ability to tandemize. This is the extreme version of it here. Actually, there's a world record held by Hase in this regard, but there's a really cool tandem adapter that allows you to attach two or more trikes. And that is something that's only able to be done with a delta trike. One other key feature of the Kettwiesel One is what's called a differential drive. So a differential, what it does is it allows the two rear wheels to have traction at all times. And you can kind of see it with this video here. This is from a 1930s era demonstration from Chevrolet, I believe, of how a differential works. And so this was super important in cars because when you have two wheels, you need the power to be delivered to both wheels. But when you're turning, if one wheel, like the physics of it is one wheel is going to want to kind of skid as you turn. And so with a differential, you allow both wheels, the power to be delivered to both wheels at the right rate based on turning. So it allows effectively a three-wheel bike to ride like it has only two wheels. And it allows you to take turns really effectively and easily. And overall, it just makes this bike handle unlike any other trike on market. There's two steering options on the Kettwiesel. There is the above seat steering. So you can see behind me here, this is what they call the Kettwiesel One Up. And that has steering up above, just like a normal bike. The reason you would choose above steering is it's very familiar to a normal bike. We have it here for you to try. The handlebars are right in front of you. You just turn as normal. Operation is simple. As you can see in the picture here, you can fold the steering forward for easy on and off. So they have a really ingenious method, which is there's a quick release right here I can show you. And you can move that up, and then you're easy off the bike, and then you can pull it towards you and get a nice tight steering. So that is that's the above seat steering, and then there's under seat steering, which is what you can see here. And I'm gonna flip this so that Jason here can help me show you under seat steering. So this is what I'm sitting on right here. So you've got steering that you can access as you sit. You can use the bars as supports for getting on and off. So there's these nifty little I lost oh, there we go, grips here to make it really easy to get off the bike. There's less stress on long rides because you're in a very neutral position when you're riding. And then it's a sportier handling bike overall. So the turning radius is much shorter. You don't have to move your hands very much to turn the front wheel. So from sort of a performance perspective or performance trike perspective, the under seat steering is where it's at. Thanks, Jason. Another key feature of the Kettwiesel One is full suspension. It cannot be stressed enough how comfortable and in control this bike is. I'll share my screen so you can see the suspension, or share with the camera here. You can see the suspension. So you've got suspension here, which is their adjustable suspension in the back. You have suspension on the other side, and you've got front suspension. And the suspension system, Jason, if you can go to the far back, we can see this is called McPherson suspension design. It came from cars, the first production car. Now I have my notes here that says this somewhere. Let's see here. First production car with McPherson suspension was in 1950, the Ford Consul. It was designed by Earl S. McPherson, who I believe he worked for Chevrolet, and then he wasn't so happy with them, and so he went and teamed up with Ford. But basically, you can read all about it. I don't have all the engineering chops to tell you exactly what it means, but it's quite remarkable. You've got a pivot here. You've got like a ball joint which driving, so it allows the suspension to go up and down while still delivering power through the differential, which is in the middle, to both wheels. So this is the Hase differential. But these joints are all movable. And in cars, what was such a big deal is it allowed for a lot simpler construction, lighter weight. It's the same deal with bikes. It's a tried and true suspension design. That was so full suspension. There's 70 millimeters of travel. So you and when you're riding this, you wouldn't know. You're right. You don't know what the terrain is because you're just riding on a cloud with that suspension that travel. It's independently adjustable for different rider weights. And the other key thing is that the suspension allows the bike to lean as you steer. And that leaning aspect is what also makes this handle so well. So oftentimes when you have a trike, if you've ever tried a trike before, when you take a turn, it feels like the whole thing wants to topple over. And so taking turns at any speed is really a little bit dicey. This bike is different. You can take turns at speed and feel and have your wheels are sticking to the ground. So there's the comfort aspect for sure, but safety is key. On top of that, you have hydraulic disc brakes that really lend that additional safety feature that's so important on a vehicle like this. Adjustability is really important. this bike is one size fits all. And it truly is. You can adjust it to fit. I'm 6'4", fits me. Karen, my wife, is 5 feet, fits her. There's a tool that's hidden, which you probably saw in this video, that allows you to make all these adjustments on the fly when you're out and about. I'll show you that in a second here. Let's see. I'm going to share my screen. So if you, the hidden tool is right back here. So it's magnetic. Pull that tool out. That tool allows you to adjust your suspension. It also allows you to adjust the frame, and there's this bolt and this bolt. And all you got to do is undo those 2 bolts, and you are reducing the frame or increasing the frame to fit any rider height. And then the other really, really crucial thing is adjusting the seat height. So quick release on either side, pop that. You can adjust your seating position, so more relaxed and more upright. But then the key detail is the ability to raise the seat. So if you want to have an easier time getting on and off the bike, you can just quickly raise it up. But if you want a sportier ride, just drop it down, quick release, and you're done. It's so cool. So let me swing back to see me here. Yeah, like I said, one size fits all. The tool is right there to adjust. I think this photo is really funny because, I mean, there's no other bike out there that you can just kind of relax on your bike when you're out and about. Quick adjust your seat position. Yeah, if you want to be a little bit easier on and off, the seat up high, it's really easy to get on and off this bike. If you have issues sort of putting your leg up over the bar, you can just come and sit down on the saddle and then just kind of scoot over. You don't have to lift your leg over the seat. And then you can set it lower for sportier handling. Another huge deal is storage and transportation. So just like you can adjust the seat and adjust the frame, you can also adjust it to make it really small. As you can see here, you can fit it in the back of a hatchback. You use that integrated tool to do that. You can also store the bike upright. I'm going to show you that in a sec here. It's super easy to lift and bring down the bike. So there's other bikes that we have, like from Turn, that you can store upright, which people find to be really useful for small space storage. But it can be a little hard to get the bike up onto its rear end. You have to hold the brake and you got to pull it back. It's night and day on this bike. I'll show that to you right now. I'm going to change the screen position. Okay, so one key thing here is this is a release for the brake. So you put there's this, if you want to keep it in parking mode, you close your brake, put that in place. Now the brakes are locked. And then once the brakes are locked, all you do is you hold the front and you just lift up. Make sure there's nothing behind you. Ooh. There we go. So super compact storage, just takes up about the same space as I do. So if you don't have a whole lot of room for a trike, no problem. And then to bring it back down, you just tug on it. And this is really easy. Like the only thing I'm holding up is a little bit of weight up front, but that's about it. And now you're back. And that's all thanks to, they've got supports here to store the bike on its rear end and this locking brake function here. And then when I get back on it, I don't have to, when you lock the brakes, you're not rolling anywhere. You're just super sturdy right there. let's see. Actually, before I go on to the Pino, I just want to, we're gonna have time for questions at the end. But the last thing I'll just say on the Kettwiesel One, and we're gonna also go over configuration options and models, but it's extremely lightweight trike. So that's another really, really key feature. It's all told, there's different configurations. Some are a little lighter than others, but like with the Enviolo hub, which is on this bike, you're looking at around like high 60s, which in the scheme of things is not much heavier than most electric bikes. And the way when you take the battery out, you make it a lot lighter and stuff like that. So if you need to make it lighter to get it in the car, that's probably the only reason why it needs to be lighter. There's ways to make it lighter, and if you're storing it on its rear end, it's actually extremely light, so that weight you don't feel when you're lifting it, like I did just now. So again, we'll go over lots of questions. Any questions you have at the end, and I'll go over models and configuration. But I want to now just dive into the second bike that we are bringing to the new wheel from Hase, which is the Hase Pino. Truly unique is the only way to describe this bike. Tandem is one way to describe it, but it doesn't begin to explain what this bike can do. It's extremely lightweight, which makes it a really fun, quick commuter bike. Actually, you know what? While I'm doing this, I'm going to move over and sit on the have a seat on the Pino. Here, Jason can show the new configuration. So now I'm sitting on the Pino doing a webinar. So tandem's one way to put it, but it's a quick commuter. It's a family taxi. So again, here I'm sitting on this bike, so you can have an adult sit on the front. You can have a child sit on the front. It's a cargo bike, and we'll go over accessories and what makes this you could call it tandem, but you can also call it a cargo bike. It's a touring adventure bike. So you can do a 2-person tour on this, and with the right bag setup, you can carry all of your gear and then some. Lightweight and nimble is another really good way to describe it. It's kind of remarkable how well this handles fully loaded. In many ways, this is, I didn't actually test this claim here, but it's one of the lightest, if not the lightest weight cargo bike, especially when fully loaded. I would say we should probably double check that statistic there, but I would say it's probably true. So a key thing with the Pino is adjustability. So the frame is telescoping, just like on the same technology that's being used on the Kettwiesel is on the Pino. So you can expand the frame. You can not only expand the front rider pedaling position, but also the wheelbase. So you can expand the wheelbase to make it longer and more stable, or tighten it to make it more sporty. And you can make it basically the same size as a 20-inch mountain bike in terms of a wheelbase. So you can fit it on a car rack really easily. The handlebars are super adjustable. The seat's super adjustable. You can fit children and tall adults. So up to, I believe, with an extension, it's up to about 6'7" on the front. And then the rear rider can also go very, very high. And I'll show you the ways that works with the handlebar. You can quickly change the bike for multiple riders. So Karin and I actually bought ourselves a Pino. And the main idea was for Karin to be able to get around with our daughter Ida. But it turns out it also is like a great date night bike, and we can adjust it to fit her, to fit me, to fit Ida, and it's all very quickly done. The key, besides the telescoping frame, the key thing is this handlebar adjustment. So there's this unique handlebar that both pivots forward and back, but also wider and shorter and up and down, or wider and narrower. So you can really make it fit just right for any rider. So my wife, Karen, she's a little under 5 feet tall. We can get the handlebars fitting her perfectly, and we can expand them out to fit me as well. It's also a cargo bike, as I mentioned, and this shows some key accessories from Pino, or from Hase that fit on the Pino. It's all about the bags. So there's the porter pack, which slips onto the front into the front position when you don't have a rider, and that's a really large, capacious space to fit cargo. There's a porter rack, which is on the bottom here, and plus a porter bag. And if you add those two things together, you've got really low weight distribution, and you can store a whole lot of stuff there. And with the combination of the two bags, you've got oodles of space. In some ways, it's more space than some of our front loader cargo bikes when you sort of add it all up and you see how it all fits on the bike, especially with that lower porter rack. This is, I think, Hase has done a really nice job of sort of summarizing all of the key advantages of the Pino. So one really important thing is at the top left here, is the freewheel in front. That is crucial. What that means is the front rider doesn't have to pedal. So unlike many tandem bikes where both riders have to be pedaling with the captain sort of in charge, on the Hase, the front passenger, especially if you have like a child, or a rider who can't pedal for some, there's no problem at all. They can just sit there and enjoy the ride. I think the thing that we found, Karin and I, to be really, really fun about this bike is the conversational, social aspect of it. You're in a riding position you're very close to the front rider, and so conversations are really easy on this bike. Also, both riders have great views. Unlike other tandems where you have the rider behind, on the Pino, you're both up front and you have 180-degree views. So it's really enjoyable. This is me here. So I'm sitting here with the cargo kickstand, and I can just kind of hang out. And this front saddle is extremely comfortable. Adjustability is huge for small riders and large riders. We already talked about cargo bike capabilities. Pino, again, Hase, like I said in the beginning, like their heritage is in building bikes for special needs. And so we have access now to all of their bikes and all of the accessories that allow us to meet the needs of folks that have special needs. And so that can include pedal adjustments, harnesses for riding, harnesses for the pedals. There's all sorts of different ways that you can configure these bikes to meet the needs of folks with special needs. And the Pino is probably one of the most popular bikes for that use. And then again, you can fold this bike up and fit it on a standard car rack in about 5 minutes. And we've used that feature ourselves when in a pinch. Let's see if I can get rid of it. I'm going to try to get rid of clear all drawings. There we go. This is the model lineup. So there are 2 models of the Pino that are in stock in the US that are shipping quickly. And there's 3 models of the Kettwiesel One. I'm going to go over the Pino to start. So the Pino Steps is the The bike that I'm here on, it's a bike that is available to test ride in the Marin shop. And then the Pino Cargo is available for test riding in the San Francisco shop. They're very similar. The Pino Steps is a little bit more pared down. So it's got the Shimano E6100 motor, which has 60 Newton meters of torque. We have it with the cargo bike kickstand as standard, which gives you just better stability and ability to do things like what I'm doing here, sit on your bike without support. And it's just it's going to come in one color and it's just ready to roll as it is. The Pino Cargo is going to have a more performance oriented motor, so it's the EP8 motor with 85 Newton meters of torque. It's got the Porter Pack, which is this bag here. That is removable easily if you want to have a rider there. There's the Porter Rack below, so it comes standard with this. Has some upgraded components. So like the rear rack is a touring style rack from Tubis, so higher capacity. And then it also has adjustable cranks. So on the Pino Steps, it's one size cranks. I believe it's 165 millimeter. And on the Pino Cargo, you have adjustable cranks, so you can make them shorter for smaller riders and longer for taller riders, which is pretty nice, especially if you're going to be carrying children. I would say all in all, for most folks, the Pino Cargo is going to be the way to go, especially in the San Francisco Bay Area. And then there's the Kettwiesel One lineup. So there's the Kettwiesel One, which is with the Shimano E6100 motor, 60 Newton meters of torque, and an internally geared 8-speed hub from Shimano. There's the Kettwiesel One Up, which is with the up steering. And that has the same motor as the Kettwiesel One, but also with Alpine Di2, so electronic shifting. And then there is the Kettwiesel One Plus, which is has the more performance-oriented motor and it's supposed to say Inviolo C380, so the continuously variable transmission. So that is probably, I would say, the Kettwiesel One Plus is kind of the going to be our most popular model here for the San Francisco Bay Area. It offers more performance, more torque. Generally, folks like the understeering as if you're especially be doing longer rides. But again, I think we have both the Kettwiesel One Up and the Plus available for test riding in the Marin shop, which is for right now is going to be the place that we carry all of the trikes. Now, what's really important to know is, like some of our other brands, like Orbea or Reese and Muller, Hase is they're made in Europe, and they're in many instances, if you want to configure the bike specific to your needs, they can be made for you in Germany. So you can custom order any of these models. You can do things like change the paint color. You can choose the drivetrain. They have a lot of options, including electronic shifting and roll-off. And you can choose a lot of accessories. And many of those accessories we can configure here in the States. But if you want, let's say, a Kettwiesel One with roll-off and you want a special paint color, that would be a custom order, and that would be coming from Germany. All the bikes, you can also choose different motor systems with different, so if you want, a Kettwiesel One with the up steering and electronic Inviolo shifting and the EP8 motor, we can get that built for you in Germany. In the States, the big choice is accessories. Like if you buy a stock model, which were the ones that I outlined here, the choice is battery size. So you can choose either 504 watt hour or 640 watt hour, and then accessories. And the accessories are what can really make these bikes even better. So from for Pino, it's the quarter rack, it's the bags, it's different adaptive components, so pedal and crank accessories, seat belts, and more. And for the Kettwiesel One, there's a lot of cool things to add cargo capacity, which makes this bike super useful. So bags and baskets for storage and shopping. You can add turn signals, the tandem hitch, which we will have next week available for testing here in the Marin store, so you can see what it's like to tandemize two trikes. And then also there's adaptive components, so pedals and crank accessories, seatbelts, and more. So that is my presentation, and I am now opening it up for questions. I see we have a question about battery range on both bikes. So that's from Spence. So battery range, that's a great question. We haven't done so much real world battery testing. But based on what I know about the battery capacity and motor capacity, you're looking at probably around 15 to 20 miles on the 504 watt hour battery, and 20 to 30 miles on this, or maybe like about 25 miles on the 640 watt hour battery. Is there other questions that I can answer? Nope. I think the thing to know too is when you come and test ride, you're gonna want to, especially with the Pino, we're gonna need probably a little bit more time. You want to budget a little bit more time to do the test riding, because there's some configurations, especially if you're with a child. We want to get the pedaling set up properly. We want to get you familiar riding the bike. I will say it rides incredibly well. Like, it's probably the easiest to ride passenger cargo bike we have, especially with an adult passenger. It's kind of mind-boggling how well it handles with a lot of weight. And so I think the learning curve in that regard is probably maybe a little less than like a front-loading cargo bike. But you still want to give yourself some time. You can book test rides on our website. So newwheel.net/ride is where you can book a test ride. And if you let us know you're coming with that test ride appointment, that's great. And let us know which bikes you want to try, because then we can be ready for you. Yeah. The question as far as battery range, I would say 20 to 30 miles. So there's a question about test riding in San Francisco. Right now, the demo bikes are in Marin, and we did that because we have more space, and we've got really mellow test riding over here with the bike lane right in front of the shop. And it's pretty easy to get to the Marin shop from San Francisco. So you can take the Larkspur ferry, and it's like a half an hour, 20-minute ferry ride over here, and then the 5-minute walk. So for right now, we're going to have the Kettwiesel Ones in the Marin shop exclusively. Hopefully, as things develop, we hope to have some in San Francisco, but the size is the one constraint with the small shop size. There's a question about price range. So I'll go back to the sheet here. Let's see here. So this is the stock model price range. Again, you can configure these bikes and make them more or less. But generally you're looking around 10 to 13 for the Pino, and like 9,500 to 12 for the Kettwiesel, unless you you do the customization, in which case it can put roll off and you can get it a little bit higher end. But that's the general range for stock models. Yeah, so the Pino, there's a question about Pino handling. It's such, I can't stress enough just how fun this bike is to ride. Even when you have a passenger, like I've taken it now a couple times, like over the Golden Gate Bridge, and there's those tight turns to get onto the bridge and to get around the pillars, and it's the best handling cargo bike with the passenger that I've ridden. Like doing those turns sometimes can be a little bit more dicey on some of the other models that we have. Not dicey, but it's just a little bit more practiced. With the Pino, it's no problem at all. It's a whole lot of fun. It's a really fun to ride with another passenger, especially another adult passenger. It's so unusual. There's a question about colors. So there is the Pino. There's all the RAL color options are available. So again, like these bikes can be custom painted to whatever color you want, both the Pino and the Kettwiesel One. But the stock models, the Pino Steps comes in the stock models. And when I say that, what I mean is the bikes that are available here in the States that can ship really quick is either the Pino Steps in the white color or the Pino Cargo in the orange color. And the Kettwiesel, there's a green color for the Kettwiesel 1 and 1 Plus, and then sort of a beige color for the Kettwiesel 1 Up. But like the Pino, you can get these custom painted whatever color you'd like. I'd say with the Kettwiesel, there's kind of less color visible anyway, so the beam of is black, and that's going to be always black. Really, the color shows up on the back of the bike. Any other questions that I can answer? Well, I have a question. Is the Pino good for adventure touring? The answer is yes, definitely. I think there's a slide here. Maybe. So there is a picture. One really cool thing about the Pino is you've got the rear rack in the back. You've got, if you have a passenger, obviously you're not going to use this bag. Or what I'm pointing at here is this. So this bag, if you have a passenger, you're going to have a passenger there, but you have this super heavy duty rear rack that can take up to about 60 pounds. But then you can add this bottom, the porter rack, which gives you a ton of space. And then you can add a secondary pannier rack here, which allows you to attach like Ortlieb bags. So the combination, you can do a Ortlieb bag here, two on the back. You can do a bag at the bottom here, and then you can do two more at the front. And so that just gives you the space to do really, really cool things. And when you have two riders pedaling, it also, what's remarkable is just, how easy it is to pedal this bike. Like the overall weight is similar to a normal bike, except you've got now two people plus a motor pedaling. So you're just screaming up hills if you want to work a little harder, or just conserving more energy if you're touring. Any other questions? Well, thank you very much for joining. Um, I am, I am, I'll answer any questions offline. If you want to send us an email, you can email me, at info@newwheel.net and just do attention Brett, and I'll get it that way. And, but then I'd really encourage you to book a test ride, because it's hard to appreciate. I was a, I was a skeptic because all the other trikes I'd tried in the past were, um, yeah, just speaking on trikes, all the other trikes I'd tried in the past were a little funky. They didn't really handle very well. They were heavy. And then when I tried the Kettwiesel at Eurobike, I was blown away, and I could see how many people um, this would help. But I also could see that it's just a fun bike. Even if balance issues aren't an issue, or if you just want to have fun on a bike, you've got to try this, because it's one of the most fun bikes I've ridden in a very, very long time. And then the Pino, again, I was, I'm a little conservative in my taste sometimes, and I was a little skeptical of that as well. But Karin was super, super on board, and saw what it was all about. And so, now that we've actually integrated it into our life, like it's a truly remarkable bike, and you kind of find new ways to use it, new things to do with it as you use it. So super excited for both bikes. If you have any questions, email us, book a test ride at newwheel.net/ride. And, yeah, we'll see you down the road. Thanks for joining.